Good day, everyone. My name is Elisa Koper, and today I will present my research project titled Telegram as a Vector for Politically Motivated Cyber Attacks, Modeling AI-Assisted Responses. This study was conducted at Vrije Universiteit Amsterdam and explores how artificial intelligence can support employees during politically motivated cyber attacks initiated via Telegram, also through bots. Here's an overview of what I'll be covering. First, I'll provide some background information on the issue. After that, I'll describe the scenario that was used to build the models. Next, I'll show you the network models used, followed by the simulation setup as well. Then I'll present the results of all simulations that were conducted, including a what-if analysis. And finally, I'll wrap up with a discussion which includes limitations, ethical considerations, and suggestions for future research. Now, starting off with background information, Telegram has become an increasingly popular platform for launching cyber attacks, especially due to the ease with which bots can be deployed. According to research, these attacks require minimal technical skills and can actually take many forms. You can order any attack basically through this bot, and you can pay via this bot, and yeah, it just places this attack for you. Spam emails, harassing phone calls, they are also part of modern cybercrime and can occur privately, but also within a company, so pretty much everyone can be affected by this. What's interesting is that many errors within cybersecurity, so actually taking one of these spam calls or falling for a spam email, they are made not system-based, but they are human errors, often caused by several human factors combined, like fatigue, workload, stress, or simply not being aware of the cybersecurity risks at all. Ongoing geopolitical tensions, particularly wars in the Middle East and Eastern Europe, take the war between Russia and Ukraine, have led to a noticeable increase in politically motivated cyber attacks. This all raises quite an important question, which is how can we support individuals, such as employees within a company, who are tasked with mitigating the impact of such attacks? Recent works suggest that AI coaches could play a critical role in supporting human decision making during such crises. Now, onto the scenario description, the scenario used in this model. In the simulation, a politically motivated cyber attack on a company was modeled using MATLAB, a simulation platform online. The attack results in damage done to the company where the employee is employed. This employee is responsible for recognizing the threat, responding to it, and minimizing the damage so that the reputation damage of the company becomes minimal. After addressing the immediate consequences and following a path within their own mental model, this employee can also undergo training to speed up the response process for potential future attacks. The scenario allowed me to examine how decision making evolves over time with and without AI assistance by doing multiple simulations. This all brings me to my first network model, which is the employee model. This model also serves as a base for the second model where the AI coach is implemented, but I'll show that in the next slide, of course. This model captures the various internal and external factors that influence an employee's behavior during a cyber attack. Of course, not all human factors are in here, but multiple were added to create a more realistic model. Furthermore, so this model has three main parts, as you can kind of see. The base level indicated in the pinkish plane, the first order adaptation level, which is indicated in the blue plane at the top, and lastly the mental model of the employee, which is found in the big green oval at the bottom, which has these white states in there. The green states within the pink plane are just that color for clarity between the states of the mental model and the other states. The states that are included in the pink plane include psychological variables like workload, awareness of hacktivism, responsibility, free time, as well as observable actions like the report that was made by the employee following a whole mental model path, all the damage that was done by the attack, which is also, of course, an external factor. Each state in the model is connected through weighted links, allowing the simulation of how one factor influences another over time. The blue states in the blue plane are W states, which influence the connection weight between states on base level in this case. These W states are influenced by multiple base level states, which you can see by the blue lines. They have like an upward connection towards the W state, and the red line indicates a downward connection to base level. So that downward connection influences the connection weight. Furthermore, the dotted lines in base level mean that the connection is actually negative. So there is a small dotted line all the way at the bottom of that mental model, which has a little bit of a twist in it. It means that if there's a high value for the state that it comes from, a very negative influence goes to the state that the dotted arrow ends at. This is the second model, which is the AI coach model. As you can see, this model has the previous shown model as a base on the left-hand side and extends it on all levels. So as you can see, there's a new plane added at the top, which is the purple plane, and there's multiple other states added everywhere. The model introduces an AI agent that can assist with the whole decision-making process of the employee, but only when this is needed. This is done through monitor states that, as the name suggests, monitor certain states. They are depicted by the red states in the middle of the blue plane. These states at the base level give off a value of -1, meaning that if the base level state already has a high value, this state gives a strong negative connection to the monitor state, not setting it off. These monitor states also have a very high threshold, strengthening this whole effect. The other line that goes to the monitor state comes from the mental model of the AI coach, which is on the right-hand side of the pink plane. This AI coach has perfect knowledge of what is going on, so it can assist the employee that way. This connection has a value of 1. This AI mental model is indicated by the yellow oval on the right-hand side in the pink plane, just for clarity. These mental model states receive pink arrows from the employee model to gain knowledge about what's going on. After the monitor states, there are triple W states. Triple W states in the purple plane at the top, which are reached after the monitor states. These states influence the connection between the AI coach W states and the employee W states. Again, the AI's role is not to take over anything, but to guide the employee by streamlining decision making. Here I'll talk about the simulations that were done. These simulations were focused on an average mean performance profile for the employee using fairly moderate values for initial states and parameter settings. These values were estimated by me based on what I thought was a good value for these states. Then a series of what-if simulations was conducted to see how certain values would change over time by changing other values. I introduced 2 if factors for this, one of which is the speed factor for one of the W states within the employee model that influences the connection between noticing reputation damage and fixing damage. The other if factor is the strength of the connection weight between the report that was made with the employee and fixing damage. The selected what factor was the value of the state representing fixing damage. This was chosen as it is quite a critical step in this cybersecurity process to minimize the damage and possible reputation damage, and also provide proper training. With a high value for the state, better training can be provided for these kinds of risky situations within the company for any future scenarios. This what factor was examined at 3 different time steps, 30, 70, and 110. These were chosen to not only see short but also long-term effects of this AI coach. This allowed the visualization of the evolution of the system and whether the AI had a measurable effect on certain time points. And now for the results. On the left, you can see the results from the employee model without AI assistance. As you can observe, the value for fixing damage, which is the light blue line that goes up fairly high, increases quite slow, especially at the beginning. The initial response is relatively slow, which could be problematic in a real-world scenario where delays can have major consequences. On the right-hand side, the AI coach model is shown. Of course, the first noticeable thing here is the many extra lines, and especially the lines that go up and down rather quick. These are some of the monitor states, and the corresponding triple W states, as here the employee states are not very high yet, triggering a response from the AI coach. After a quick glance, not many differences are seen, but thanks to the what if simulation in the next slide and the values that came out of that, it does seem otherwise. I've added two tables to show this what if analysis. The actual values that came from the simulations are not shown here, but they can be found in the appendix in the thesis paper that this presentation is based on. The same goes for the values and intervals that were chosen for high and low for the what factor that you can see in the table at the top, and the effector values. The red color was chosen to depict a negative, non-desirable outcome, whereas the green color depicts the opposite. The key takeaway is that the addition of the AI coach not only improves the average performance, but also reduces the risk of high severity values early on in the simulation. It even managed to increase the so-called risk of low severity values here. Later on in the simulation, the risk assessment does not show any changes. The values that this is based on do show a slight increase for Model 2 compared to Model 1, but this was not enough to increase the low severity risk. The main takeaway from this risk assessment is definitely that the AI coach contributes significantly to the development of fixing damage early on, which is definitely important, as taking too long to fix damage could result in a lot of reputation damage to the company and other severe damages. To summarize the findings from this research, the presence of an AI coach significantly enhanced the rate at which damage was addressed. This effect was most pronounced at earlier stage, which is precisely when it matters most, as quick fixing means the damage is dealt with, hopefully before it becomes too noticeable to the outside world, and minimizing reputation damage. The AI coach would also reduce the risk of overly risky values for the state and increases the so-called risk for low severity situations, guiding the employee towards a more optimal response. This suggests that AI assistants can play a vital role in supporting employees in high-stakes environments when it comes to cyber attacks. Of course, it is important to keep in mind the limitations of the study, just as well as the ethical considerations. First, this was a simulated environment within MATLAB using estimated values. There are no empirical field data used here, so the question is whether this situation would hold in a real-life scenario with more influences from outside and unpredictable situations. Human behavior is complex and influenced by many unpredictable factors, which were not all added into this model. There are quite literally endless possibilities to create these models, so there will always be room for improvement with more details added. Second, while AI assistants can be beneficial, there's also the danger of over-reliance, where the employee loses the ability to follow their own guidance and becomes less critical to what an AI assistant offers. Employees must remain critical of AI recommendations. Next, transparency is also essential, especially when dealing with personal sensitive data. Employees must be aware at all times when data is used, how it is collected, and what it is used for. This AI coach uses sensitive data, so this is most certainly relevant in these environments. For future work, it is recommended to validate the simulations using empirical field data from real companies and perform a longer study to see the actual short and long-term effects. Furthermore, this would help to understand the actual mental model of an employee experiencing this much better, from which a more realistic model can be created. This will help refine the models and better understand the actual importance of AI coaches in practice. I'm afraid that's the end. Thank you all for listening to this presentation, and I wish you a nice day.